Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. I am reading Ever After High, Fairies Got Talent. Oh my gosh, my camera sucks. By Susanne. We are on part 19, and I'm going to start reading it. The chapter is A Dark Confession. So I'm going to start reading. And we're also starting on page 193. Chapter 19, A Dark Confession. Madame Baha Yaga's office had spent the afternoon running through the enchanted forest, laying eggs, and was now resting at the hilltop above the school. With its chicken legs stretched out, the office snored gently and didn't stir, not even when Fabel knocked on the door. "Hello, Fabel. I've been expecting you." The professor was sitting cross-legged on her pillow, floating in front of the crinkling fire. Though it was stuffy in the office, she'd wrap her scarf around her shoulders, and she wore a thick pair of wool socks. "Just warming up my old bones," she explained. Come have a seat." Fibel settled into a big, cushy chair. Despite the numerous patches, stuffing was leaking out. She arranged her cap. She felt ridiculous wearing it, but she still wanted to hide her injured wings. Once settled, she looked around the office, looked most professors. Madame Baha Yaga had intensive collection of books, but she also had a crystal ball collection and a wall of fragment degrees. A thin trail of smoke arose from the bowl of burning incense. Fabel fidgeted. There was no use stalling. She'd come here for a reason. "You know everything, don't you? That's why you've been expecting me?" "I would never profess in knowing everything, but I'm aware of certain magical happenings." Madame Baha Yaga motioned her hand. A kettle that had been sitting at the gate over the fire drifted across the room and began to pour its contents in a mug. "Though tea is all the rage of the campus these days, I still prefer strong black coffee. Would you like a cup?" "No, thank you," Fabel fidgeted. It wasn't just the temper of the room that was making her uncomfortable. It was also the jittery feeling in her stomach. Had coming here been a mistake? Should she leave or never tell anyone the truth? I'm listening. "If I tell you why I'm here, will it go on my student record?" The mug floated into Madame Baha Yaga's hand. She took a few sips. Her hoops earrings gleamed in a firelight. Do you want this conversation to be recorded on your student record?" "No. I don't want anyone to know what happened. I don't want to ruin my reputation." After another sip, the professor set a mug into her desk, then folded her hands on her table. "Very well. For this meeting, I shall remove my professor hat." She mimicked, taking off the hat and casting it aside. "I am no longer acting as your teacher. Whatever you say shall be completely confidential." She paused. "Unless, of course, you broke the law." "Did you break a law?" Fabel shook her head. "Exactly. Proceed." There was so much to say, Fabel didn't know how to begin. "I made a huge mess," she blurted. Then the whole story poured out. How Justine asked the fairies to audition, how Fabel wanted to play the part, how she went to the Vault Lost Tale and found a wilted wing spell, how she cheer hexed it, then hit herself with the spell, then found out that Cupid was also auditioning, how she spot Cupid's arrow and missed, and now the cheer hexing squad was all messed up, so they would have to forfeit the competition, and how Cupid would now get the part. This kind of stuff isn't supposed to happen to me. I'm the daughter of the Dark Fairy. I should be good at dark magic." She sniffled. What was that? Were her eyes filled with tears? She turned away and wiped them with her sleeve. "You might be interested in to learn that many years ago a student came to this very office and sat in very same chair." "I don't care about another." Madame Baha Yaga raised her hand. "Have patience, Miss Thorne." Fibel sighed. "Sorry. As I'm saying, this student came to me with a problem. She was auditioning for the lead of the school corps. Wanting to eliminate the competition, she tried to steal her rival's voice, but her attempt on dark magic was a failure. The only way she could tell me the truth was to write it on a piece of paper." She pointed it at the file cabinet. The third drawer opened. The file rose into the air, and then a small slip of paper floated out. It flew towards Fabel, who reached up and grabbed it. "Go on, Miss Thorne, read it." Dear Madam Baha Yaga, I made a terrible mistake. I cast a spell, but now bounced off the mirror, and now I've stolen my own voice. Can you help me? Fabel recognized the handwriting. My mother. It wasn't possible. Her mother would never make such a rookie mistake. Everyone knew how to cast spells near never everyone knew not to cast a spell near mirrors. Do you think you are the only one whose magic was gone away? Madame Baha Yaga asked. But she's the dark fairy. She's the dark magic. She wasn't always the dark. She was once a student just like you, impatient, self-important, and sometimes over archiving. Fabelle's tears had dried. She sat up straight. Hold on. You just over archiving, as if it were some sort of insult. I work hard. What's wrong with that? There is nothing wrong with hard work. But if you try to be the best at everything, you risk becoming the best at nothing. You spread yourself as thin as fairy wing. Madame Baha Yaga slid off the pillow and walked over to Fabel. President of the Villain Club, captain of the cheer-hexing squad, a full course load, plus you're an honor roll student. And now you want to be the lead in the upcoming theatrical production? Why? It's a wicked fairy queen. I wanted the whole student body to see me in that role. They already see you in that role, Miss Thorne. Haven't you noticed the way that they look at you? She took the paper from Fabel and returned it to the filing cabinet. Once your mother decided to focus on the things that really mattered to her, rather not to activity, she thought about how to make her seem important. She began to grow. Her magic began to grow. Magic is unpredictable, and this requires great focus. Anything that is worthwhile requires great focus. She closed the cabinet door, then turned her attention back to Fabel. Emotions are also over predictable. Sometimes we can't control them. There is no shame in our emotions. She stared intently at Fabel. Fabel frowned. What are you talking about? What emotions? I understand that you are feeling sorry for yourself. You have wilted wings, and that must be a terrible sensation. But is anything else troubling you? Fabel folded her arms, her expression rigid with defiance. Try to prove I'm feeling something. Go ahead. But there was that lump in her throat again, and that heaviness in her chest. You think I feel bad because I hurt other people, other fairies? She snorted. I'm a villain. Of course I don't feel bad. If I did, that would mean I'm a total failure. She relaxed her arms a bit, wouldn't it? Madame Baha Yaga did not respond. I suppose you want me to say that I'm sorry I hurt my cheer hexters. They didn't do anything to deserve wilted wings, and they certainly did not want to be in a love with Humphrey. And I suppose that Farah, who is so nice to everyone and who makes dreams come true with her magic, Fabel rolled her eyes. I suppose she didn't deserve wilted wings either. And maybe, just maybe, I feel a little bad. And maybe I wish I could go back to in time and never cast a spell. But I can't do that. You said no more magic. Still, Madame Baha Yaga said nothing. Fabel leaped to her feet. Holy epic fairy failure. She began to pace. What's wrong with me? How can I be a villain if I feel sorry for my victims? There's nothing wrong with you, Madame Baha Yaga assured her. Villain's status doesn't mean you are an emotional robot. On a contrary, fairies feel and sense everything a deeper level than those without wings. A dark fairy is the most sensitive of all. The professor's old legs creaked as she walked towards Fabel. She clasped both of her hands around Fabel. Savor this lesson, my child. Use dark magic only when absolutely necessary. In this case, it is not needed. You think I would have gotten the rule without magic? Madame Baha Yaga nodded. Who better to play the wicked fairy than you? Justine knows that. A clock chimed. The office began to tremble as it rose up to the chicken legs. It's time for some exercise, which means we will soon be on the move. Madame Baha Yaga said, "Perhaps this is a good time for you to make your exit." Fabel certainly didn't want to get stuck running around an enchanted forest with the professor's weird office. "Madam, you said I need to clean up your own messes. Is there a spell I can use to undo my magic?" "All dark fairies have the power to undo their magic, but there's a catch." Fabo groaned. "What?" "The spell will work on your victims, but it won't work on you. Your wings will have to recover on their own." "I figured you're going to say that." And that is the end of part 18. I will see you guys in part 20 soon. Thank you.